Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Mac.
and today we're giving our first impressions of Fractured Sky. I'll try to put an image of the box in here.
Yeah.
We do not currently have the copy. The copy actually belongs to your brother, so he let us do an unboxing video of that. You can check that out. This is a top production quality game. So
he got the deluxe production.
Yes. So you may want to take a look at the unboxing to see some of these components because they are pretty great. But yes, it is the deluxe. I don't know what the differences are in the retail, so if you end up being a little interested in this game, you probably have to do some additional research because off the top of my head, I have no idea what the differences are. But anyway, we'll talk about our game experience of it and whether or not we maybe think that it is worth having in a collection or not. But so we've played it the one time. We played it at 4 players, which I would say right off the bat it is one of those games that I think is going to be better at the higher player counts. I think it goes up to 5, I believe. So I think it's probably going to play best at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But could be wrong. There's a second side of the board for 3, so that might work better if it's kind of feels shrunken in.
Yeah.
Because
you do get rid of some of the cards too, so that might be part of it too. Because there's less areas to go to.
Yeah, that's fair. And yeah, I would think because of that, or based on the game we played, I never felt like it felt tight at all, or that you couldn't kind of do sort of what you were attempting to do. So that's where I think without it being a large amount of players, it's going to feel like very loose of being able to just do whatever you want, sort of. And maybe that's just the way the game feels. But I thought it worked pretty well at 4 players, and it was a lot quicker of a game than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And in this game, there are a bunch of different areas on like a map. And then you have airships with tokens labeled 0 through 10. And a couple of little buildings that give you benefits. And basically, on your turn, you can do an action. And once you have all 3 of your starships out with your kind of bet, then you award either starfalls, which are basically how you win the game, is the point.
The main victory points in the game.
Or you get resources for those. So it's pretty streamlined, but essentially it's, what would you call it?
Yeah, I was thinking originally that it was area control, but I think it's more like a bidding game, a hidden blind bid type game or something is what I don't know exactly what I'd call it. But there are some elements of knowing where you could get like you said, you can place, there's kind of these little spots that connect to some of the islands that you put those buildings on, and if they are attached to those, then it gives you more of a reason to hopefully go there because it either gives you more strength in that area or it gives you extra resources from going to that area. So in that way you can kind of, you kind of control it a little bit. I don't know what exactly I'd call it, but the main thing is the blind bidding, I would think. And I think that part of the game really, really works because, like you said, you have the 0 to 10. You've actually got 2 zeros. And in the game, each round, you've got your 3 chips, and in total, those chips can only add up to 10. Or else you get, like, some very negative thing that you'd never want to go over 10. I can't think of any reason why. So no one ever did, but supposed to keep it within 10. I guess you technically could go over, but I don't think it does you any good. And you'll just put those out, and there's the 10 chip and the 1 chip actually have white on them, so they're the only chips that you can tell that, well, they either placed a 1 or a 10 here, so that's the additional piece that can make things interesting, because you're like, well, they either dedicated a lot there and dedicated nothing in their other spots, or they dedicated just, very minimum presence there. And you can sometimes tell based on if there's a starfall there, because there is one that everyone knows each round, and then there are some hidden ones. Each round there's one more additional hidden one, so it gets to be more and more out there. And yeah, I think that part of it works really well, where you have to go within those same restraints and stuff. So I like that that's never like adjusted. Like some player eventually gets like, oh, they have an 11 maximum or 12 maximum or something like that. I'm glad that it just stays at 10, so you never have to think about these additional things. It keeps it simple enough that it keeps the game flowing.
Yeah. Like a Nidavellir, where the coin grows.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. I like that Nidavellir, but I think in this game it would change the game completely.
Yeah. I was just thinking how I liked how the bidding was similar to Nidavellir, where it was closed bidding essentially. And so, as opposed to other games like Raw, where you know, right? It's been a minute since I played that.
Yeah.
Where you know what everyone's bidding. The information I thought was really interesting when you think about it. In Raw, like, you know how much your opponent is willing to bet for that. Like, so that alters your decision making. But with the hidden bets, and what I liked in Fractured Sky is, I'm going to bet what I want, what I'm willing to bet here. Sure, I'll take into consideration that my brother has also bet for this area, but unless it's a white, I have no other information other than what I think is valuable versus what he thinks is valuable on that. And I thought that was a really good way to do the bidding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of Lockup a little bit, where in that one you have, I believe it's 2 that you can flip upside down. So part of it's hidden and then part of it's face up, which kind of then allows you to realize later on, like, okay, those are the ones that they've got face down, so that means that has to be that or that. So it's kind of a revealing of hidden information as the round is going on, or depending on when you place them face down. Not quite like that, but it makes me think of that, because in that case you're also kind of bidding for these actions, and then getting various rewards depending if you got first or second or third or whatever. And in this one, you get the Starfall if you had the highest. Then you get the resources. There's 2 resources labeled. And then you get 1 resource if you're in third. If there's additional ones, you get nothing.
I was going to say,
but in ours, we never had that. We never had all 4 of us go on the same spot and fight for it. So I don't know exactly how that'd kind of probably be disappointing, I guess, if you put a lot in there. But if everyone put a lot in there, then I'm guessing the other person's going to be able to maybe go and get everything. I don't know.
Scoop it, everything.
But yeah, I really liked what this one did, and it felt unique. It felt like it did deserve the production that it got, because the little chips are magnetic and just go on the bottom of your ship. You just kind of hover it over it, and it snaps on really quick, and it's hidden. I'm like, wow. Well, at least in the deluxe version. I guess I don't know in all versions, but I thought that was really cool. At first, I thought it was just a gimmick and covering up kind of a mediocre bad game or something. But I think I thought that the game was pretty well done and deserved the production that it was given.
Yeah, I don't think it was overproduced for the most part. I think that what they did with the deluxe version was like quality. Like, I don't know what the difference is, but I don't think I'd want to try it the other way. But at the same time, I did feel like the cards were overproduced. Like,
there were 2 versions of those cards.
Oh, was there? Okay.
In the box.
So you could use the height, whatever those are.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called. The cards that,
or whatever.
Like, if you rub them together, like zzz.
Yeah, and you shift them, and the
and they're
picture
doing different
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only thing where I was like, it's a little bit hard to work with, but
it's a cool thing, and I've never seen it in another game, but I can see why I haven't seen it in another game. It's not really ideal for
luckily there's
shuffling.
not many cards to shuffle, but no, I thought the production was good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was any other major things in the game that I really enjoyed. So one of the other things you can pay for is the information on where the hidden starfalls are, and there's also these hidden objectives. And the hidden objectives, all 5 of them are put out there at the beginning of the game, and there's 1 for each round, so you can kind of look at those in advance to kind of know what you're going to want to aim for. Mm-hmm. And in this one, they don't require you to remember. You get to mark these cards so you can look back at it if you're like, wait a minute, did I read that right? And then go back and look. So I like that.
Yeah, that was nice. I did one, and then I forgot, and then I was like, wait a minute, what was that card? I was like, I looked at that one. that was nice. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I completely forgot to factor that one in.
And it's cool to know like where the starfalls are going to be, but at the
also
same
a
time, I
dread.
felt like I probably did it the most out of everyone.
Yeah.
And
You did win.
I did win. I won by 1. It was a very close game. Everyone else was within 1, so it was 6 to 7. So it was very, very close. But it seemed like everyone that I looked at, someone either was at or like immediately after I looked at it, someone
Went there.
would place it, even though they didn't have that information, and it was just kind of either maybe they needed the resources, probably, and they just ended up going to that location. And it's like, well, that's disappointing because I have no idea what they dedicated to that because I don't know what they want.
Right. They have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those weird things then where, like, you know the information, you know they don't know the information, but they put it there anyway. So it's like, well, it's not like they necessarily went in for putting their highest one there for some reason.
Right.
So it's like, it could be a 2, could be a 3.
Well, and that's what...
could be a 7.
Right, and that goes back to what I was saying, like, how it makes the bidding interesting because you're working off the information that you have or, like, about them either knowing or not knowing and yourself knowing or not knowing. So it's an interesting, like, pickle to think about. What should I put? Like, how badly do I want this?
Right. And then it becomes a little frustrating when you do look at multiple and all those spots are taken and they haven't even looked at those cards. So then you have no idea what either of the players were thinking. But
well, that's
what's fun about it too.
Like you, who's like all about it. For me, who's just like dee-dee-dee-dee. Like I'm gonna do it based on. That's not true. I guess I did some betting based on other people, but for the most part, I was like, I want to win this one, so I'm gonna throw a big number out there.
Because that could help you too. If no one is on that spot, it's like, okay, I'm gonna put something on there. Hopefully, you can prolong your turn long enough to not give away that information to other people, because the turns are going to end at different times, so that's a cool thing too, where sometimes you're trying to prolong, like, oh, I know this information, and the second I put something on here, then other people are going to be like, huh, is that where the starfall is? Or they just wanted to go to that location.
Exactly.
So.
And it was fun because I think in one round I did get to lay all 3 of my starships last. Everyone else was done, and so I was like, all right. But then I had to, like, figure out, like, who knows what, and how much did they bet at these locations that I want to go to, so.
Yeah.
But that was a good round for me, I think.
I think so.
I think I got a double on that one.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I would say first impressions, probably put this one probably around an 8. Could go up with more plays. I think the production really worked, and it was very easy to see out on the board, like, where people were. The actual land masses themselves were, I don't know, not the greatest, but
and like
you could
seeing
tell
how they linked was not always the greatest.
You could tell if you looked at it long enough, but at the same time, it was kind of like, I wish they'd done something just slightly different. I don't know what I would have done to make these pop more from each other, but some were just like, okay, just kind of maybe not the greatest looking board, or doesn't like pop as it should, but. Otherwise, the production was great, and I'm hoping to play this one more, but I do tend to like those kind of trying to outthink what your opponent's trying to think while they're trying to do the opposite to you, so you're both kind of doing things, and and I feel like in a lot of the bidding games that I have played, there's not many times where there's like additional things you can add to certain areas where it's like, well, I've actually got a leg up if I do go to this area because I've got a fortress next to it.
Well,
so I do like that.
Yeah. Well, and the hardest part is the skiffs is like, you put them, but you got to get them out before you get your starship or your main ships out. So it's like giving away where you're gonna go. So. Yeah, it's interesting. I would probably give it a BGG 7, which is good. Usually willing to play. This isn't really my style of game.
No.
I feel
I didn't think you would like it at all. And I'm like, I think she
more than I thought I would, because I was originally just dreading this. Like, I watched the video and I was just like, this is not for me. Like, I just know it's not for me, and I felt bad. But we got into it, and it actually wasn't too bad. I was afraid it was going to be, like, drawn out and terrible, but it actually wasn't. It was...
No. It was quick, snappy turns, which I had thought it was going to be longer than it was, too.
And once you get the hang of it, it's really not... It's not hard at all. I think it just was coming off a little bit more complicated than it was. So I foresee Zach and Carson wanting to play that again and more, but I think my concern would be like, I don't want to play this all the time because I will get really tired of just trying to think and outthink. But I can also see that there maybe is an optimal way to play this game. I think what you did was really smart by getting a lot of resources.
What? Getting by the second round having 4 out there?
Yeah, because then you cut all those things out and, like, knowing, like, what objectives are. Like, I think it's finding ways to make all of that happen, and I think that you could if you played correctly. So I feel like that I don't know that it's going to necessarily be, like, a full hack like you have on some games, but I feel like there could be a partial hack.
It could be. That's what I was trying to think, like, would I do the resource heavy from the start again? And I'm not sure. It is such a short game that it's like, well, if you let too many go, I mean, you're letting up a good opportunity to get some of those early ones, and I mean, you hope that you have time to make it up at the end. And I did. I think I got into the lead, and then I just was able to kind of barely hang on.
Yeah.
So I think if the game had kept going, I think I would have probably been in a worse position than the other people. So it was kind of like the perfect amount of time, too.
Yeah.
So.
Which, and I think it was interesting because I think for you started heavy on resources, ended low on resources.
I did. Like, towards the end, I wasn't getting any.
And I feel like me and Zach and Carson went low on resources to start with, and then had a lot in the last rounds. I had the most, I think, in the 4th round, and very little in the 5th round. But, so I think we kind of flopped strategy there.
It kind of depends when you're getting the Starfalls, because if you're winning Starfalls, you're not getting resources.
Yes.
So that is it's kind of that weird thing, like, yay, I got a bunch of Starfalls this round, 2 or 3, and then, but that's like, but I have no resources for the next round because, you know, whoever got second probably got those resources. So you got to manage those things.
Which is a good balancing act.
It is a good balance.
Game, so.
I do like that about it. But yeah, definitely go and check out our unboxing video if you want to see these great components, this great production. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give us a like or dislike. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the video below. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.